Story Square announcing plans to buy Australian fintech company Afterpay in a $29 billion all-stock deal. So this brings Square, Brian Sazzi, into the buy now, pay later market, the BNPL market. And when I pull up Square's presentation, their investor presentation on this deal, right at the top, what do we have? Big fat TAM, $10 trillion.
Your favorite metric.
$10 trillion opportunity in online payments, and Square noting right at the top that buy now, pay later only has 2% of that market. Initial thoughts on the deal?
Wow. My initial thoughts was, one, you're seeing Affirm shares, which is a rival to Afterpay. That stock last check on the Yahoo Finance platform up 7% in the pre-market here. Also, my another reaction. This is bad for PayPal. You have Square continuing to make major power moves in April. They closed that deal on title. Unclear how they expect to use that. But you make this type of deal for Afterpay. Why are you also using PayPal? You're likely to spend more time on this Square platform here. And if you're PayPal, you have to be worried about the insurgent that is now Square. Also, too, you look at Klarna. Klarna's last capital raise valued the company at $46 billion. But even still, does this deal put that company in play for a bigger target? Maybe a PayPal.
Maybe a PayPal, maybe one of those SPACs that are out there. We've heard a lot of SPACs looking to Europe. Klarna, of course, based in Sweden, looking to Europe for opportunities. Do you want to note as well, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, all those stocks, slightly higher. I wouldn't say they're really moving that much on the news, but they are at least positive. They're not in the red. And I think for me, Sazzi, as a consumer, my question around buy now, pay later is, where does it fit into the basket of just how I'm buying any kind of goods, right? I have a debit card, I have a credit card. I could write it. I mostly just write a check to like the plumber or something, but that still is available. And so, where does buy now, pay later fit into that basket?
I think it focuses on the lower income consumer. This is this generation's, I would say, layaway program. But again, it will be interesting to see how this payment type evolves. This is not the only company doing it out there. It is Klarna. You have other companies doing it as well. Unclear how Square ultimately takes it to the next level.
And I think another thing with the buy now, pay later, the only time I ever used it, it was 0% financing for 3 months. I bought a Dyson vacuum, as I think we might have discussed here. And then I bought a product that I hope to unveil soon on this set at your suggestion, at your behest, let's say.
I won't mention it.
Buy now, pay later came up as an option, but it was like a 10% APR. And I said, well, so I'll just put it on my credit card, and then I'll just pay it off, and then I won't have to pay any fees on that. And so how these businesses, as they pull more consumers into their sphere, every time you check out online now, there is an option. There's an Affirm option, there's an Afterpay option, there's a Klarna option, among others. You can do versions of this through your credit card at Chase. They send me emails after basically if I buy anything over $100, I get an email from Chase saying, would you like to buy now, pay later, this specific item? And you wonder how much consumer behavior are they training at that 0%, that 5% versus, the 10, 15, where you're starting to really talk about a spread that starts to make money.
And lost in this, too, and I get it, lots of focus on the Afterpay. Square reported results, and we'll dive more into this later with Mark Palmer of BTIG, but I'm locked and loaded on what Square said about the crypto business. Gross profit of $55 million in the second quarter, only a 2% gross margin on that Bitcoin. Bitcoin sales and gross profit down quarter over quarter, which immediately has me concerned. How did Coinbase do in its most recent quarter? We'll be hearing from them soon.
And we showed on the graphic there just an interesting quarter from Square in that they reported a top line that missed expectations. Haven't seen too many of those. Amazon, of course, one we discussed at length on Friday's program, but a slight miss here on the revenue line relative to expectations. Profit coming in better than expected. And just wanted to call something out that I found of interest to me specifically, maybe not of interest to anybody else, but the way that Square talked about the Cash App and including particular metrics for its Cash App users around how to value stocks, basically. And the metrics, Brian Sazzi, that they called out as notable: revenue growth, fine, gross profit, and valuation metrics. So, in your view, as a former analyst, are those the three kinds of things that you would like to look at before buying a stock?
Love the disclosures. I think it's very, very important. Give me more granularity, Miles. And we're also, two things quickly to point out. They're also noting, and what we mentioned on PayPal, they should be a little concerned what Square is putting up here. They note peer-to-peer transactions continue to increase, and that has been one of the largest drivers of their business. Also, stock trading is starting to take off for Square. Now, obviously, this is not the same at the extent that you're seeing at a Robinhood, but it is starting to gain some traction at the company. And
we always, in the before times when it wasn't about Cash App and it wasn't about Bitcoin, we did look at the size of the retailer using Square, using the Square tab or the Square checkout system by their size. And so we continue to see as a percentage of the overall gross processing volume, large customers, over $500,000 in annualized GPV, gaining share within Square's ecosystem. So they had about $40 billion, 38.8 in GPV in the latest quarter. Almost 14 was from sellers that have more than $500,000 on their platform, basically big sellers, not your tiny mom and pops. And that is now the largest segment, whereas previously that had been the smallest segment within the Square
Should I just
universe.
close out my B of A account and use Square?
The Square would like that.
Yeah,
Square would like
it
that.
seems really easy and fun. I don't know why. It's fun to spend money on Square, I guess.
There was an analyst not too long ago who said Square, what did he say? It's like buying JP Morgan in 1876?
We don't talk about the analyst.
I'm just saying that they would say you could do that.
Yeah.
So, all right.